Look at this. Wow. Okay, what do we got here?
Well, what you're looking at are World War II era uniforms. You're looking at enlisted and officer. Now, what you're looking at here would be something called, you see, CBI. If you were in that theater, you were in the China, Burma, India theater. Now, keep in mind, when we talk about theaters, if you were in the Pacific, like the islands, Guam or whatever, the Philippines, you were Pacific theater. If you were in Europe, you were in the European theater. If you were in the Mediterranean theater. If you were in China, you were in the what they call the CBI. Now, what they started out as, and I'm sure we'll get to that, we'll show a display to you. They originally started over there as the Flying Tigers. And the Flying Tigers were basically American mercenaries flying American P-40 fighters for the Chinese government before America entered into World War II. And for every Japanese airplane they would shoot down, the government of Chiang Kai-shek would pay them $500. Now, $500 in 1941 was a lot of money. So, they were gung-ho guys, but it evolved into I believe, the 12th or 14th Air Force. And what that is they also had transport planes. They also were flying from from India into China. And what they would have to do is they'd have to fly over this mountain range, which is the highest mountain range on Earth, the Himalayas. And that was nicknamed the Hump, okay, because it was so high. They lost 32 transport airplanes over the years flying fuel and supplies into China to help, American forces and Chinese forces to fight the Japanese. So that's what that was, and that's what that patch is. And you'll see that was basically what they call a chit. And if they were forced down in, let's say, they didn't speak Chinese, that said friend, American friend in Chinese, so they wouldn't be killed by friendly Chinese people.
And that was the backs of them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. This is in the 40s, but this style still exists today. This is what people are wearing. I think they were ahead of their time, or we just...
They were. They absolutely were. And, now here you see this would be, it looks like either a bombardier or a gunner's badge. You can see the wings. It's not a pilot, but it's an air crew, and it's enlisted. So this person would have been either a radio man, a gunner, or something of that nature on an aircraft. If you look at this is the leather jacket, the famous leather flight jacket you see. And you can see it's also China, Burma, India theater. You can see how many, each one of those is a mission that he flew. They used to paint that onto leather jackets.
And I love that. I love that it's so authentic that it's running out, because that's how often you wore it, all the missions.
Original. That's original.
That has some more miles than the planes.
Absolutely. Now we talk about the European theater. You can see, here's a jacket, a bomber jacket the pilot had, and it was painted. That was actually painted on the jackets. Hangar Queen, the missions, and Ted's Traveling Circus. A lot of that was when they would bomb the oil fields of Ploesti, Romania, which is where Hitler's oil refineries were.
Right.
If you look at the airplane that's right out here, the B-24, that is connected to that aircraft. The 93rd Bomb Group, which became the 93rd Bomb Wing, which was based here at Kassel eventually.
So they're very different groups. This is the traveling circus group.
Right, and it was called that because they went from North Africa to Europe so they traveled around.
Did they know everybody in the group, or was it so broad that they're like, they're from this division and that division?
Usually a bomb group, they would know pretty much all.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were that close of a group.
Right, and it wasn't like now. Your air crew, your airplane was your air crew.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, they would... if you watch the movie Memphis Belle, they knew pretty much everybody in the, squadron.
Wow, that's really cool to have a book about this too.
Oh yeah, you look at the pictures, you look at the camaraderie.
How many guys were usually in these groups? Like how there's one here,
well,
here?
you had 10 men on every airplane. if it was a B-17 or a B-24. So if you had a squadron of 15 airplanes,
so that's pretty much all of them too.
Yeah, you had 150 men, and there were missions where over Germany they would lose 69 airplanes in a mission. It would never. We would never accept that now, because of there was no social media. It was newspaper reporting, and the reporters were kind of like, "Don't report how many men we lost." So 69 airplanes. That's 690 men in one day.
Oh my goodness! Did these people survive in the groups we see, or did any of them go down?
Some did. Some lost their lives.
What about the circus group? Did they make it out?
They did, but there were a lot that did not.
Wow. And what about this? Is this also continuing on?
This is also World War II. Yeah, this is, you can see a pilot book, the rating book. Now these are 9th Air Force. They're more of a medium bomber, twin engine, and less men on the airplane. I believe there was probably around 5 or 6 on here versus 10. And these airplanes carried a lighter load, but they could fly in, into different situations. Let's say we want to bomb just some things on a river, or something that doesn't take the big heavy bombers, and that's what they would fly.
Wow, this is so awesome. Okay, let's go check out a different era now.